Christopher Nolan's TENET is coming out Monday, tomorrow, or at least I'm going to be able to see it tomorrow. Not everywhere can see it Monday, so. So, because I'm so excited to see TENET, I thought it'd be fun just to, in preparation for that, post my ranking list of all Christopher Nolan movies. So, let's do it. Hello everybody, welcome to Film Fireside. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm really excited. So let's just dive right in. There are only 10 Christopher Nolan films, like feature-length films, so I'm just gonna dive right in and talk about my favorites, and we're gonna rank them. So, start off with number 10. The Following. I had just seen this film recently. Most of you who are watching this are hearing The Following and going, what movie is that? Well, let me tell you. His brother Jonathan, as you know, he's a writer. He's helped him write many of his films in the past. He had written a short story called The Following, and Christopher Nolan decided to take that short story and make it into a movie. His first movie. I was talking with my friend about this film, and one thing that's charming about this film, I think the main charming thing about this film is the fact that with a low budget, a very, very low budget, you can just see Christopher Nolan like at his best already. You just know he's destined to be really, really good at this just from this movie, you know? I was trying to imagine myself like, okay, I've never seen Inception, I've never seen Interstellar, I've never seen The Dark Knight, I've never seen any of those movies. I'm watching this film. What would I think about this filmmaker? And that actually helped a lot because it kind of helped me appreciate Christopher Nolan a lot, actually, because it helped me just consider his style, what it is that he is passionate about, and what he feels is effective form of storytelling. A few similarities I've noticed is he's very good at, and uses this very effectively in many of his other films, uses this idea of chronological and messing with chronological order of certain things. To see the movie start out from the very, very end, and we start working its way kind of back and forth with things. And many of his films do that. Very specifically, they do that kind of for an intentional purpose. I will say though, with this film, he uses that in other films and it definitely serves a purpose and it works very well. It didn't really make too much of a difference in this movie, so it's probably why it's on the bottom of the list. This film's only like an hour. If you find a place to rent it from somewhere, I would definitely recommend doing that. If you're subscribed to the Criterion channel, they have a bunch of indie films on this subscription streaming service. It's on there, so definitely check it out. It's only like an hour and 10 minutes. It's really, really good, and I like it a lot. Another thing Christopher Nolan is about that I've noticed, I think, characters. He's very much character driven, so that way he can do crazy cool things and have twists and turns, but we are engaged with the story because we're engaged in the characters, who they are, how they're developing. Those are his two strong suits. At least I feel that, and I now can think of all of his other movies and go, yep, that's something he does. On to the next one. So this probably seems really low on the list, but again, I would remind you, this isn't really like, I love Christopher Nolan. He's one of my favorite directors. So to have any movie near the bottom of my favorites of his films really doesn't mean much because it's still, I chose a bad time to do this. To have a Christopher Nolan movie near the bottom of my list really doesn't mean much because it's a Christopher Nolan movie and I love Christopher Nolan, so whatever. Batman Begins, I don't know, it's a very interesting movie. It's near the bottom of this list because between the three, I feel like this is one of the more slower of the three. However, there's something about this film that definitely, again, helped kind of redefine and reshape the superhero movie genre. It made Christopher Nolan approach the Batman character not so much from the cheesy, hokey type of story and crazy costumes and weird evil villains that most superhero movies try to do. At least up to this point, they had tried to do. Christopher Nolan took the superhero movie genre and tried to base it in reality. So I have to appreciate this film for that. It's very good for that reason. Christopher Nolan's take on Bruce Wayne is such an awesome, awesome character. Oh, I love my nieces and nephews. They're upstairs. They're running. They're playing. I kind of thought, I was like, I can sneak away for a second and film this because I kind of want to get it done by today. But you know what? Excuse it. If you hear little feet running around upstairs, it's my nieces and nephews. I'm gonna try and edit it in sound editing. I may not do very well. Liam Neeson's role in this movie and his character relationship between Bruce Wayne is fantastic. I don't know, I approach these movies, a lot of my information of the comic books came from the movie first, then I would kind of go and look some stuff about the comics later, so it's very cool to see his take on Batman Begins. It's probably been a while since I've seen this movie. I have a friend, he and I talk, because Christopher Nolan is one of our favorite directors. okay, that can't be a kid. That's an adult moving a chair. He and I talk Christopher Nolan all the time because he's one of our favorite directors. He talks about how Batman Begins is one of his favorite Christopher Nolan movies ever. And I'm always like, I know, I've watched it quite a few times ever since we've had those conversations because I was like, maybe there's something I've missed about it. But I totally value and appreciate that he likes this movie more than I do. Because again, it's a great movie. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. Of course it's good. I kind of put Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises the same kind of like tier and quality. If I had to pick one that I appreciated more, I would probably pick The Dark Knight Rises. I think Christopher Nolan ended this trilogy just beautifully. Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises are pretty specifically connected. I kind of felt like, for the reason I like The Dark Knight Rises a little more, because I just think it took everything that's happened so far and took Bruce Wayne's character and finished his story and his journey off very, very nicely. And in a very respectable way. I'd call it very respectable to consider where his journey went, and considering how he had other plans in place, but unfortunately due to Heath Ledger's death, he had to then change course a little bit. I've heard a lot of people criticize this and say, oh, he didn't finish it off like as good as he could have. And I don't think that's fair because, well, first of all, I disagree. I really liked the ending, but people kind of criticize it for being like, oh, well, he was just trying to force something to work. He should have just let The Dark Knight be the last one and not do anything. But the story wasn't done. The character's journey wasn't complete. The other thing that is a problem here is, or that people kind of say is a problem here, is that this film, and I kind of agree with this one, this film tends to be a little more, for a superhero movie based in realism, it's a little eccentric. I mean, like the police get trapped under the city and it's a little intense, a little I think maybe we kind of cross a line perhaps. And I get that. I believe what was happening despite the eccentricness of it. I didn't really get taken out because of how extreme and intense it was, but I could see that. I understand that point. Tom Hardy's performance as Bane is really, really good. I feel very empowered by this movie because of what Bruce goes through. Makes it seem like really rounding off his story and his journey really, really well. So I really love The Dark Knight Rises. Dunkirk. I need to watch this movie again. Feel like I missed this the first time, which is why it's a little lower on the list. But again, I like it a lot. I think it's a great movie. This is another one of those films that the timing of things, that he messes with the chronological aspects of the story, and it's done very uniquely and very cleverly. This one I think kind of left me going, why did we do it that way? Though, what was the point of doing that? And which is why, again, I feel like maybe I need to watch it again, because perhaps there isn't the underlying reason for that helps suggest something with characters that I didn't fully appreciate. Straight up, I need to watch this movie again. I really think there was a lot of things about this movie that I missed. Because yeah, I kind of felt that it wasn't a horror movie necessarily. It seemed a lot more of a character study. Definitely one of the highlights of this movie for me is Mark Rylance. His character in the story is probably the one I connected with the most, when I got a lot of, I guess, emotion out of, the one I really got a good experience with. Dunkirk's a really good movie. I feel like a lot of people liked it more than I did, perhaps. So, which is why I really want to give it another chance one day. I didn't get a chance to do it before this, so. It's number 7 on the list as it stands right now. Memento floored me. This is one of the first movies I kind of went back to be like, I'm going to go revisit some of his like older movies. I'm kind of curious what he does with those films. And again, this one plays with the chronological aspects of it. But what I like about this one is that very specifically relates to the character's experience, to what the character needs to do his entire life, what he's forced to do his entire life because of his mental health issues now, considering what's happening. I really like this movie. Just the cinematography and the editing of this is so intentional, so very specific. Wow, this is a fantastic experience. It's a movie unlike any other. Like, genuinely, there's nothing you can compare this movie to. You're just hooked the entire time. You're just engaged the entire time. This movie demands your attention, not in a way that's like, you better pay attention or else you're gonna miss some things. Just from the beginning of this movie, you were just hooked into what's happening, and you yourself are wanting to just follow along with him. I think this film does a very good job of putting us in the position the main character is in and making us have to experience this kind of story with him and the way he needs to experience it because of his brain. Yeah, Memento is very, very good. Very underrated, by the way. I think so anyway. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about Memento enough. Really good movie. Go check it out. This next few ones are gonna be hard because the 5th, 4th, and 3rd slot, I've been this all week kind of like doing it, and this one's here this time, and I think about it again, but no, put that one here instead, and I go back and put this one back because I kind of like that one a little more, and I think I'm gonna put it back. This is what it landed on today. Might change tomorrow, but this is what it landed on today. So today, number 5 is Interstellar, this one I would definitely consider an underrated Christopher Nolan movie. A lot of people view this film as one of his weaker ones, and I don't agree with that. I don't think it's a weak film at all. Such a good story, such an interesting concept, such an interesting idea that allows us to experience so many unique and odd things with this character. This is the film, not gonna lie, I hadn't seen Dallas Buyers Club. That one came out just the year before. But when I saw Interstellar, this is the film that made me go, Matthew McConaughey can act? I didn't know that. I thought he just was dazed and confused in all of his movies.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
No, he just wrecks me in this movie. His relationship with his daughter, so good. Again, it's kind of funny. I'm reaching this point and I'm realizing a lot of the things I've said about other Christopher Nolan films I'm going to be kind of repeating, because his style it just doesn't get old for me, and he knows how his style can work in many different aspects. This is a very complex idea, a very complex something that's hard to grasp. And it's amazing to me that Christopher Nolan can take this idea of interstellar travel and make a movie about it and have us feel the weight of the complexity of that. And also at the same time, tell a very truthful story about a character that we can relate with and understand. I think this film deserves a lot more praise and credit than it gets a lot of times. I mean, it has a high rating on IMDb and critics give it a good score, but I've just seen people who are Christopher Nolan fans. A lot of Christopher Nolan fans tend to be a little about their movies. About their taste in movies. And I noticed a lot of Christopher Nolan fans kind of be like, Interstellar is just whatever. If you haven't seen Interstellar yet, go check it out. It's a very, very good movie. As it lands right now, The Prestige. Nope, changing that one. Insomnia is my number 4 film, and it's not because I'm not like demoting the film. It's not because I demoted the film at all. I think Insomnia is a super underrated Christopher Nolan movie. I feel like not many people have seen Insomnia. One thing that really ticks me off every year when we reach the anniversary of Robin Williams' death, which is just so awful, by the way, and I appreciate people posting about it. I'm always annoyed though, because his performance in Insomnia is so good. It's one of the best things Robin Williams has ever done, ever, and no one knows it. It's not, and I don't think it's because people are like, that one's not as good. I just genuinely think people have not seen this movie, so they don't know to include the fact that Robin Williams did so good in that movie. Gosh, I love Insomnia so much. Al Pacino and Robin Williams, their chemistry is just so electric. Hilary Swank's side story is just beautiful. This is such a good story. Again, like Interstellar, like Memento, it takes something that's, I think, it's difficult to grasp unless you've actually experienced it, and also combined a very personal story that relates to it. And what the insomnia represents in this film is super metaphorical, super symbolic. And this is a film that I only saw this film last year, and this is a film I want to revisit a lot. I feel like I'll get more and more out of this film every time. I can relate to Al Pacino's character, his struggle, what he's going through, like on the side, as well as trying to solve what's going on with Robin Williams' character and deal with what's going on with Robin Williams' character. I love Insomnia, and not enough people have seen it. So please, if you have not seen Insomnia, go see Insomnia. It's a really, really good film. Believe it or not, all the films I've said are really, really good. So you can probably imagine I'm going to say that about the rest of these movies on this list. The Prestige. The Prestige. We watched this film just recently. My wife and I watched it with some friends, and I actually got to appreciate it more. Maybe that's why I put this up a little higher on the list just now. That experience was really fun because I got to talk to it with some of our friends afterwards, and some of them hadn't seen the movie yet, by the way. And it was fun to talk with them about it and talk about how that movie is a brand new experience when you watch it once, and then watching it the second time, brand new experience. And even more and more and more and more, it's a brand new experience, really, because there's things to consider, there's things to appreciate, maybe that you couldn't appreciate more now that you know how the film works. And I can't talk about too much of the things that this movie without spoiling it. Things I can talk about that aren't spoilers necessarily. This is some of Christopher Nolan's best writing ever, hands down. It's so intricate, meaningful, emotional. One of Hugh Jackman's greatest performances, one of Christian Bale's greatest performances, one of his greatest performances, by the way. Dick Cheney can go get out of here. I'll take Christian Bale in this movie over Dick Cheney any day. Everything I want to say is a spoiler. Just go watch this movie. Please, if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. I'll include spoiler talk in another video I do on the channel where I discuss the in-depth aspects of this movie. But if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about when I say watching it the second time is a different experience. So Go watch it, and then when you're done watching it, watch it again, because it's so good. The Dark Knight. Are you kidding me right now? This film, are you kidding me? Get Out. I never get tired of this movie. I can watch this movie literally every day of my life and I'd be totally satisfied. This is one of the most entertaining films I've ever seen in my life. Heath Ledger's performance. I mean, also, what can I say about this movie that already hasn't been said? I mean, like, everyone talks about Heath Ledger's performance. Everyone talks about the brilliance of that Joker. Everyone talks about this character so very much so, and how tragic it is that he died. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all. I'm just gonna repeat all that stuff. You've probably heard people say that before. But of course, Dark Knight is such a good movie, and I don't think people realize how much this film, even Batman Begins, how much this film did for the superhero movie genre. I also recognize how much other superhero movies paid tribute to the Dark Knight, or even just stole from the Dark Knight, as far as like the trying to base things in realism. Thank you, the Dark Knight. Always hats off to the Dark Knight. It's such a beautiful film. I actually hold that film in a very reverent place, really. I mean, Heath Ledger's death contributes to that as well, but just how life-changing that movie was for me. Literally, that film is one of my muses as far as wanting to act, as far as wanting to learn more about film. That came out at a time where I was kind of deciding what I wanted to do with, like, if I wanted to pursue acting. That was a film that definitely affected that a lot. That film was a very personal film to me. Really changed maybe the course of my life even. So thank you, The Dark Knight. Great movie. You've probably seen it, so go watch it again, because it's such a good movie. I'll watch it again. I'm gonna watch it again right now, as soon as I say the next one. I've mentioned this before in another film, but when I watched this movie, I knew nothing about it. Blew me away. I was so stunned by the quality of that movie. And Kelsey and I, it's the 10th anniversary, and it's playing in places where movie theaters are open. And here in Utah, movie theaters are open. So my wife and I went and watched it. Watched the 10-year anniversary edition of it. They gave some special behind-the-scenes look at it before the movie started. And also TENET as well, so it made me excited for TENET. And I gotta say, watching that movie in the theater was like very spiritual, sacred experience for me. Because again, how much that movie really affected me as well. Christopher Nolan is one of my muses. Again, I mentioned this about the other film, but like literally, I'm so inspired by his films. I love him so much. I appreciate his films so very, very much. Hands down, one of, if not my favorite director. He crafted such a beautiful piece of art. I think the reason this film specifically is another one of my muses is I heard that this was an idea he had when he was like younger, and just always had it there. And I have ideas for movies I want to make. I have things I feel I get inspired about every day, and it made me feel so, I don't know, that's just an inspiring story to me. I don't know. It's a really simple story, and it shouldn't maybe like be that inspiring, but the fact that this film was something that he's always just had in him and was able to translate it so very well is inspiring. You know, it makes me wonder what's in here that I can share with the world. What are other films out there that people have in here that they can share with the world, you know? And I'm so glad Christopher Nolan shared that idea with us. It's such a beautiful, beautiful concept. And I think watching it now in the theaters 10 years later, I appreciated very much Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in this. Just the character of Frank Cobb and his journey of redemption, more or less, of forgiveness. And it's funny how I've watched this film a lot of times. I would say that I would encourage watching this film and taking things at face value. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a lot of theories about the ending of this film, about Frank Cobb, about, you know, a lot of fan theories about this film. And I found most of my life how to get wrapped up in those, and I'd come up with my own theories and things that maybe are actually happening that we didn't know about, you know? I think about that a lot and appreciate those. I heard someone, this is a he said thing to me. Someone mentioned that Christopher Nolan in an interview was asked about the ending. And again, they were going down, I'm trying not to spoil it, but they're going down the route of the fan theory and what everyone kind of focuses on. And he goes, that's not the point. This is. And something that is, again, one of the face value things of a film that we go, well, but yeah, I mean, that's not, whatever. I thought about that a lot ever since I heard that. And watching it in theaters, I did kind of just want to think about some of the face value aspects of the film, where the realities and the rules of the world building that they do are very fascinating and very, very cool and very well done. But Frank Cobb's character's journey, what he goes through, I took that all at face value, and I found myself crying in this film. And at the end specifically, because it's a beautiful story. It is such a beautiful story. This is a film, like, again, where just how special this film was to me. This is where I get a little like personal, and it's kind of weird to watch other people get personal with films, because it's like, that's a movie. I mean, it's whatever. But like, seriously though, this film, I used this film when I was sad. I used this film all the time. I wanted to share this film with everybody I loved, all my friends. Anytime anyone came over and they said they hadn't seen Inception, I didn't care. If I just watched it earlier that day, I was putting that movie in so they could see it. I wanted everyone to experience this film. I watched this film probably once a week for years. I love this movie so much, and seeing it in theaters now, I still catch new things. A new person that I was even 10 years ago when this film first came out, and as I was 7 years ago when I was in high school. I'd watch it so much in high school. Is usually when I'd watch it all the time, and I watch it now. I don't get tired of it, and watching it in theaters is so good. So if you can go see Inception in theaters, go see it in theaters. And I love Inception so much. So there's my list. There you go. What do you think about my list? Go ahead and comment below. Give me your ranking of the 10 Christopher Nolan movies. Tenet comes out tomorrow, or well, again, for me tomorrow. I'm gonna go see it tomorrow. So we'll see if maybe I can, where I put that in the ranking list of all the Christopher Nolan movies. I'm really excited for Tenet. Go see Tenet. I'll be putting a review of Tenet out as soon as I can. I'm seeing it tomorrow night. I have family in town, obviously, and I will be just if I can sneak away to edit, I will. So I'll get to it when I get to it. It's kind of how it is. Tell me like I said before, tell me your ranking of Christopher Nolan movies. I want to hear your top 10, or even just your top 3 Christopher Nolan movies. Go ahead and throw those in the comments to me. I want to hear those with you. Start a discussion with me. Are there any films I have lower on my list that you would put higher on my list? Tell me why. Tell me why you appreciate some of those films more than I do. I'd love to hear that. Are there films higher on the list that you don't think should be that high? Again, comment below. Tell me your reasons why. I'd love to get in a discussion with you. Films are something that I have no problem disagreeing on films, because it's something I love, and one of the reasons I love about it is because everyone brings their experience to a film. So you bring your experience to these films with me and share them with me. And if they're not the same experience, I'd love to understand your experience with the film. That would help me appreciate and understand my experience with the movie. So comment below, let me know, start a discussion with me. Since you're already here, go ahead and like this video. It does a lot to support the channel, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Bye-bye.